Yeah, but 2 seconds is too long for most customers to put up with.
No, 2 seconds. Okay, 30 is 30.
No, it's still 2 seconds. You mean 2 seconds too long already?
I had one customer come in with they were hoping because he had 2 seconds left of people to
No, what I'm saying is that definitely the echo should be controlled immediately when you pick up the phone, right? But in general, yeah, echo issue, we have seen that happening, and we have corrected it in internal firmware. So when you have a case like this, please make sure that you have the latest firmware of the UCM that we're going to be releasing, not the 923, but the next one. We released the 923 this week, so the next one could be happening within the next couple months. So if you have a customer right now, let me know, contact Bashar, and I can pass an internal firmware. But always run all the troubleshooting first. In my opinion, most of the time the echo is gone after doing this testing. So still going into the echo, this is the other menu that you need to go. Internal option, ports config. Basically all these settings are related to the FXS ports and the FXO ports. The only one you need to change for echo issues, go to FXO and either the auto detection works well in my opinion for the impedance. You can run the detection, simple. I don't have any lines connected right now. Or manually select something in the 600 ohms range. North America we use 600 ohms. So, you can select something like 600 plus 2.16.
This is still for an echo? Or
Echo. Actually, echo happens when you have an impedance mismatch. And this is the ACIM, AC impedance module. So basically it's about impedance. If the 600 doesn't help you, you can go to something closer, like 900, and that one most of the time is going to fix it. In the very worst case, I have one customer that, Grandstream makes FXO gateways. So it's a GXW41OX, meaning that it comes with 4 and 8 ports. I have to have the customer install an FXO gateway because it's a different platform, a different chipset. Then the echo was totally gone. And then you can connect, you can peer these FXO gateways. You can interconnect it with a PBX, and we're going to go that when we go to the VoIP trunk section. All right.
Just to make it clear, this detection is for the echo.
Yes.
That first detection was for this one.
Correct. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But we should do both, as far as I'm concerned.
You should be doing both because if you have a run impedance, you're going to have echo for sure. But when you have a run impedance, maybe the threshold of the coin disconnect may be affected as well. But keep in mind, echo is impedance for sure.
Of course.
And the other ones are for disconnect.
Will
Now,
we see the results of the test?
Yes, this one also, you're going to see the results. All right on time.
Wake up.
So we completed the analog trunk. I think we created one only.
Yeah, just one.
And we're going to take a break, and after that we're going to continue with the VoIP trunks. That is basically for SIP trunk providers, or in case you want to add a second UCM when you have multiple UCM interconnected, or an FXO gateway, for example. You can do that from there. And I'm going to try to connect my video conference system. This is something that we're going to be launching, I believe, within the next month or 2 months. It's an Android device, all-in-one device. It comes with a speaker, so it's using 1080p resolution. It requires a lot of bandwidth, So price range, I don't know, but Bashar may tell you better. So you feel free to come over and play with the device.
Just last one question is about analog content. I want
Sure.
to bury it after. Is this SLA mold here? We tried it, major disaster. Major disaster.
I don't recommend it. So the SLA is basically a key, to emulate a key system, right? So from the phone, you want to see what line is ringing, you want to take the line. It works, but not 100%. I mean, remember, this is a totally analog feature, but we're trying to emulate that into the IP world, and it doesn't work exactly as expected.
Safest is, I think, just tell the customer why do you need to theorize.
The thing is, sometimes they don't have it. They have their analog
Try to put
legacy.
it as the first thing.
If you guys want colder drinks from the fridge, you want this colder.
Is there a limit on the size that goes in here?
Present.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, if you wanna, is it okay after training if you come with me to the office? We're like,
Yeah.
you can go there and.
No problem. No, it's yours. It's yours now.
Okay.
Is anybody at your office?
Anybody at the office?
No?
Yeah.
Because maybe I'll just run over and...
Will I do that?
Yeah, because you have to stay here. I'll have some... Because how long's lunch for?
1 hour.
Yeah.
But you're gonna miss the presentation about the conference. If you're interested in the video conference. It's up to you.
You're only like 10 minutes late. Yeah, I'm interested in it, but you're only... Because at the end of the... I've got to go all the way back to Shepherd.
Yeah, I know.
Can you reboot the PBX?
I know. It's up to you. If you wanna go there, I'll give her a call and ask her to give you one.
Yeah, have her give me a... Yeah.
Okay, I'll call her right now.
But first I'll have the pizza.
I'll take a look.
Okay.
I had 6 extensions on there only, even though I only have one phone on there.
I'll probably you have your PBX in network before.
No, this is a brand new one. I just,
Well, I need to see the settings. Okay. You don't have it? Well, we're gonna go over the firmware updates, so we can work on that. Basically, so you do see the menu firmware updates, and then when you click, oh, I see. Now you have internet access.
Yeah, but I have to...
How are you updating the firmware? You have the firmware image local in your laptop?
Yeah, I download on the website and I inject it in the PBX. But right now I don't have internet because that's disconnected. If I disconnect, I have internet on my computer.
Oh, Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi.
But I don't know why I can't have internet on this program.
I don't know exactly what is your app link here?
It's a PO.
The internet access.
Wi-Fi.
Well, Wi-Fi. So I mean, yeah, I think you'll have to have some conflict. So either Wi-Fi or either Ethernet.
Yes.
So sometimes you cannot go both.
Yeah.
So that's a Windows setting. Yes. But it's still, you downloaded already.
Yeah.
923, right?
Like the seat for the voice for the voice. I can't put it because I don't have access.
Well, in that case, you need to, I mean, you don't have a way to, I mean, unless you know you're technically not, no, I think there's a way in Windows that you can have your computer to work as a gateway, sorry. So you receive the internet through the Wi-Fi, and through the internet you can put, so at this point, the UCM doesn't have internet, that's why.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, they?
Guys, let Ernesto eat. He's the one doing all the job. So come and eat, and then you can
No,
come and
actually,
eat,
let me
man.
finish this so they can come and see it.
It's gonna be like you're gonna lose the best part of the
Gonna be
pizza.
gone.
So I guess you want me to grab you after you've eaten it?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
I think I really like what this is, you can integrate the surveillance.
Yeah.
On the
But we do the full business, right? But the only issue with that, right? Not if I needed it. That's the only issue, right? Only issue.
That's why I want to ask if they have a failover.
Well, for my,
Because with the hosted services, right? If they detect a drop in the internet, it automatically forwards it to the cell phone or whatever.
you should have a backup.
Well, I mean, you can put an analog phone on, right? So at least you have emergency.
Yeah, but the incoming lines. Regular incoming analog lines, if you're total SIP, what do you do? Right? You gotta back up. I wonder how many patches this machine's gonna need before it's fully, you know? Right? It'll be patch city for a while.
Yeah, I don't know how often they come up with
If they're at least 10, if they're what, at least 10 now?
firmware. On the site. Firmware downloads. No, you know what it was? It was it's under manuals. I've got they list all the nice thing we do is they detail out all the firmware, so the change logs. So you can select all the different change logs and see which one you did.
All the different evolution.
Yeah, yeah. So there's
This got rid of ring and this got rid of echo. This got rid of this, this got rid of that.
so there's 10 iterations so far.
I want to hear the quality of sound of it. Can you have them? You have them be on the right side. They're generous and all that stuff. And it doesn't have
Caller ID feature. Normally, this feature is included already, but because the caller ID was not provided to the UCM is expecting to receive the caller ID before opening the channel. So that's why we added this option here. Use caller ID. Obviously, it's enabled by default. So when you have a phone company that doesn't provide caller ID, then just basically unselect that option.
If you unselect it, will it not show the caller ID?
Well, supposedly there's no caller ID, so what it's going to show on the phone is unknown or
no info.
no,
Okay.
private.
So do you have to take it off if they don't have caller ID?
Correct. Just a few phone companies do that.
But what if you have a combination?
Then you need to separate the trunks. So you need to create one trunk with one line, another trunk with the second line, and do the different type of settings.
I think the question was if the call is coming with
Yeah,
or
the
without.
call is coming without the caller ID.
The call is coming without the caller ID, yes.
No, the question is if the call is coming, like let's say,
Some calls are coming with
Yeah.
and
Oh,
some
no,
are
no.
without.
No, then always the phone company is going to provide a caller ID with a none, private. But for the PBX, there is a caller ID. All right, so SIP trunking, or void trunk. We call it void trunk because not only you can add a SIP trunk, but also you can add another UCM, an FXO gateway, for example. In case you want to expand or add more FXO lines, instead of changing the PBX, then you can buy a Grandstream FXO gateway, and you can stack them together. They're going to be connected via IP to the gateway, to the PBX. So basically, you hit the create new trunk. SIP trunk providers, they use either registration or IP authentication. We call it peer SIP trunk. So, if you have a SIP provider that supports both, I recommend using the IP authentication. Because in registration, you basically need a user ID and password that, it can be leaked out and someone can use your trunk. So for peering, basically you enter the name here, the IP address over here, and then you click save. Now let me go more, once you create it, then you go to edit, so you can see more options. So you can play with the transport types, in case you have NAT issues, you can use TCP. Keep original caller ID, remember that option. So this is for call forwarding. So a call comes in through the trunk, you have a conditional call forward, and the call is going to go back to a cell phone, for example. If you don't enable this option, the cell phone is going to see the caller ID of your trunk, of your PBX. But if you keep it, then it's going to keep the original caller's caller ID. This is for incoming calls. Remember what I told you before in the analog trunks. If you want to keep the trunk caller ID, no, my bad. This is for outbound calls. Down here, you can enter a number and a name. So some SIP trunk providers, you can pass, when you're making an outbound call, you can pass a unique or any number, and then they can pass it along to the PSTN. Some of them, they can do that. Some of them, regardless you send them, they're going to always include your main DID.
and we give you the option to send whatever you want. On our SIP trunk, you can send us whatever you want, we send it. in terms of name and ID.
So if you don't select this option, then the extension caller ID information is going to be passed to the SIP trunk on any outbound call. NAT is, in case you want to make it NAT friendly, basically similar to the extension. It's going to include the NAT IP address on the outbound calls. Categorize same, auto record. So this is the option that you can record every single call using this trunk. Some service providers, they support G729 or any specific codec, then, similar to the extensions, you can play with this codec selection here.
If you have low bandwidth where you take out the higher ones?
And if you have a low bandwidth, then you need to use a high compressed codec like G729, for example. And your service provider, they need to support that codec as well.
Do you support something like that?
Now, DID mode, so that's a good one that you need to know, because for incoming calls, the PBX can do also call routings based on the DID that the user called. I guess you have a multi-tenant or a company with multiple DIDs. Then sometimes the SIP providers, they include that piece of information of the DID in different headers. So we support the two typical headers for that, which is the request line and the two header. So in case you have any issues not detecting the DID, you either check with the service provider or select the other option here. Remember, enable quality. When you turn that on, the UCM is going to start sending a ping constantly, like every 20 seconds, to the server to see, use it as a sort of like a keep alive. So if the server is down, then the UCM knows, and then when you try to make a call, the PBX is not going to send anything to the server. It's going to give you an error immediately. Instead of, if you don't enable this, then the SIP trunk provider is down, then the UCM is going to start sending invite for a few seconds, and the caller is going to wait like 10 seconds before going to the failover if you have a second SIP trunk. So it's better to activate this option. So if the server is down, UCM will not send any call, but maybe send it to another trunk if you configure it like that.
If you have an analog, so you're using SIP and analog trunks, can you use your analog trunks as your failover?
Yeah. Maximum number of calls. So sometimes the SIP providers, they give you some sort of channels, right? So you buy 5 channels. Then if you want to make a 6th call, if you enter here 5, then the UCM knows already that it's not going to bother sending the call to that trunk.
So they send you a busy signal or some sort of tone?
BC or secret, there's a message. All secrets are BC, unless you configure a failover again.
Right.
And if it's unlimited, then you enter 0. So fax mode, SRTP, remember the call cam, you can also enable it. We have that in this menu because this menu could be another UCM. So you can peer 2 UCMs, and then the call cam can also apply between 2 different UCMs.
What's called cam?
That's the one that when A call B, you're busy, and then A is going to enable a feature. So when you are available, the UCM is going to connect to both.
Where do you set that again?
You set that in the extension and in here in the trunk. In case A is in one PBX and B is in another PBX.
And where is that? Oh, okay. You were blocked. You were
Yeah,
standing in front of me. That's why I didn't see it.
All right. So we have 2 trunks, analog and void. Let's see. Let's do, DOD. similar to DID. I mean, we're going to talk about DID more in the next section, which is called routing. But as I said before, incoming calls can be routed depending on the DID, similar to the outbound calls. So if you have a company with multiple DIDs, support department is using one particular number. So, and then accounting or the rest of the office is using another DID. So when support makes an outbound call, you want to show a particular number so people can redial and reach the support line. So in order to do that, you basically click on create a new DOD, enter the DID that you purchased with the company, and then say, you know what, these 3 extensions, every time that they dial,
You can dial up and that.
the UCM is gonna send this number as part of the caller ID.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily used, it's just what you're going to show.
Does that show,
Well,
That's in case you have
Yeah,
multiple
yeah.
DIDs with your provider.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the outgoing line indicator.
Right, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
ID.
But okay, so what's the difference between that and sending the 555 number as your caller ID for those extensions?
One thing is caller ID. The caller ID is still going to be sent as you configure it,
Right.
meaning the extension is caller ID, or the trunk's caller ID.
Right.
That is separate. This is about the DID, meaning that
Oh, okay, all right. So if you set caller ID for that number, even though you're not dialing out on that trunk, if they hit redial, it'll go back to whatever number they
right,
dialed out on, not that.
right.
not
All
what's
this
on the caller
extension that
ID.
you selected, they're going to be using this particular DOD.
Yeah. That's incoming.
Which one overrides the other, Ernesto?
This one overrides everything. You have
So this
alone.
one overrides everything.
Yes.
So Alan?
But then they
Yes.
hit redial, and you can dial out on that number, it's just on the caller ID.
Now, quick question, when you've got the follow me, roaming, what's it gonna show? Is it gonna show the original caller's DID? or-
Depending, remember that option in the zip trunk that it says keep original caller's ID?
Yes,
If you enable that, it's going to keep the original
okay,
caller.
but also if you have the same extension, let's say 200, enabled on this, where it's always shows,
Yeah, this one has priority. So if you have other caller IDs set up like in the extension level, in the trunk level, this one's going to have priority.
so when it goes to follow me, this will override anything else?
Yes.
Okay.
And even there's another menu, we call it global caller ID.
Yeah.
That regardless what you have down there in the extension level, in the IVR, we're going to be using that one all the time. But again, this one overrides that.
It even overrides the global.
Yes.
Except if your service provider has a
Right,
fixed
they mark
DID
it, yeah.
for you, whatever you send, like for example, we have that option to ignore whatever you send to us and just send the DID we have in our system. So regardless what you do here, we're going to send the DID. Now, there's an option where we can trust the number. So if we enable that for you, that means then what Ernesto said, you can choose whatever level of DID you want to send out. So, this one DOD is perfect, for grouping that, like, these extensions will be sending this DID, these extensions will be sending that DID, and then for everybody else, it's your choice. Either you're using, the global will override the DOD, right?
No.
No, still the global. Okay, so then you have the global for the rest of the stations.
All right. Now, before creating, let's do the outbound routes. I have some samples already. So basically, you click create a new outbound rule, and I'll show you here. So I created a outbound rule for 911 or emergency calls. Either I can enter 9, right? So 911 only. By the way, when you enter this, you don't need to enter the underscore. So first of all, you enter the name, could be anything. Then in the pattern, the pattern is, I don't know if you can see it, at least capital N for any digits from 2 to 9, a dot is a wildcard for any character, any number. And capital X is for any digits 0 to 9. Capital Z, 1 through 9. So most of the time, X's. You know, if you want to make an album rule for domestic, what I call national numbers, meaning 10 digits number, so you can enter a bunch of, 10 X's as a pattern. But let's do one at a time. So this is going to be for 911 only. You can enter a PIN, obviously it doesn't apply to a 911 calls. Well, this is kind of simple. Let me actually take another example. This is a typical national dialing, 10-digit dialing. So you can enter the 1 or without the 1. Basically, capital M. This is a typical pattern for a 10-digit number. I mean, for other countries, I don't know. You can even set a duration limit, right? So when dialing 10 digits number, I want to last for 10 minutes only or whatever.
How come you have underscores in there? How come you have the underscores in there that you said you
it's a system with that added automatically.
Okay.
That's an asterisk thing, like
it's an asterisk thing.
Oh.
And then the privileges. So remember, we talked about that. So in the extension level, you enter the privilege. For example, this outbound rule has the national privilege. So if my extension has national or international rule, then it's going to go to this rule. It's going to take it. But if my extension has a local rule or permission, obviously it's not going to take it because I have national. So keep that in mind.
Actually, go ahead.
Local would be, I mean, it's just a name. For other countries, they have 7-digit dialing, for example. It's not just flag that you can put into between the extensions and the trunks.
So Ernesto, actually I lied because a while ago I said you guys did everything we asked you last time except this one. You remember?
No, what do you ask?
Because these are confusing for resellers for one reason actually, because the names international, national, local does not mean anything. Doesn't mean international like you dial international number. It's just comparing level between trunk, inbound rule, and the extension. So let's say, and you remember that from last time, right?
Yeah.
So let's say if the trunk has a level national, anyone can use that trunk that has a level national or lower.
Right.
If it has international, anybody can use it if it has international and lower. I can put the trunk international and disallow international calls. I can put the trunk as national and disallow national calls. So just look at we asked about that last time. Please remove these names, make them level A, level B, level C, level D. You remember?
Yes.
So that means if it's the same level or higher, we can use it. If it's lower than that level, we cannot use it. So look at it like that. Forget about the names because they're so confusing.
Yeah,
maybe you want to take a note this time for real.
No, I think we were.
Because couldn't you just put everything at local or internal and it would all work? Because it's all the same?
No, but it has priority. So the highest, international is the highest. So for example, let's say that the levels are A, B, C, D, E, right? So E is the highest. So if you have something lower than E, an extension, for example, with A, for example, then it won't be able to make a call to this rule because it's in the E or in the highest level.
If you just make everything
Yes, the same level,
everything's A,
then everything's going to go out.
So it's not digitized, like 7 digits to us is local.
No.
And
10 digits.
Well, then it's up to you what pattern to use.
Yeah.
So in this pattern, you can enter anything you want. 3 digits, 7 digits, you name it.
so you can have everything as internal.
So what
as
you're
long as
basically
everything
using
is
is patterns of 16-digit code.
Right, but
16
remember,
digit if you
the
wanna
first
do
match,
international.
Yeah, 16-digit.
The first match is the pattern.
Your basic
Okay?
pattern. It
So
loves
when you
everything.
dial
Yes.
10-digit
No,
number,
this is the length of the actual number.
the match is going to send me to this rule. And then I'm going to verify the
If you
permission.
put it 16, 15 will not die.
So you got a 10-digit, okay, what's the permission you have? You have
to make it
internal?
10, 11,
No, I have
and
national.
that's it. 3,
It's not
4,
gonna
9,
work.
1, 1, and then 1 more.
So, something like that.
Hold on a second. What if you want to create like separate?
Call extension 1000, you're going to ring, then it's gonna go to the next extension and the next extension. If you pick up in one of these extensions, you're gonna hear a message saying, press 1 to take the call, something like that. So you need to press 1 in order to UCM to connect the call. You can disable that option by unchecking this box. But that one is a good option to have, because if you're dialing a cell phone, for example, you know, sometimes, I mean, your cell phone is going to be ringing for 30 seconds. But if your voicemail kicks in before the 30 seconds, then, you know, a few seconds of voice recording is going to be going to your voicemail. You don't want that. So that's why it's better to keep the confirmation enabled.
So if it doesn't get confirmation, it moves on?
Right. Wait 30 seconds and then move on to the next.
So you said you'll get a couple of seconds of voicemail.
Yeah, let's say that your voicemail kicking at the second 20.
Yeah.
So the user is still gonna connect. I'm not connect. It's still gonna provide a ringback tone. So you're gonna hear in the voicemail, you're gonna hear that ringback tone, which, I mean, it's gonna bother.
Could they still leave a message though?
Because still, I mean, the UCM, you're calling extension 1000. It's in my 1000. It's gonna ring, and after 30 seconds, the UCM is gonna go and call that extension. 30 more seconds. After that, it's gonna call the PSTN to your cell phone number during 30 seconds. At this point, where I'm putting on hold the original caller, I'm placing back ringback tone
To the inbound caller.
to the inbound caller. And if the cell phone voicemail kicks in, actually no, there's no audio, but at least it's gonna record something with voicemail. So you're gonna have an empty voicemail for 10 seconds or so.
But can the caller still leave? Like, does it engage your cellular voicemail?
At this point, the
or-
UCM has no idea what is going on the PSTN. We're basically dialing during 30. I mean, we send a request to the FXO to dial this number,
Right.
but we don't know when someone answers or don't answer. We have no idea.
It just goes out into the ether, right?
Into the FXO line or into the SIP trunk. So, well, actually, if it's a SIP trunk, we may know based on the 200K. So if the voicemail kick in, if the call is going through a SIP trunk, then the UCM is going to connect the original caller with your voicemail, your cell phone's voicemail, which you don't want that.
He's telling why to use the confirm message.
That's why you need to enable this option over here, because if, for example, your voicemail kicks in, and during 20 seconds, for example,
Yeah.
then the UCM is still not going to connect the caller, because the UCM is expecting you to press the 1.
Right. So if confirm when answered is unchecked, then it will go to your cellular voicemail. They'll be able to leave a message on your.
Always
cellular
going to go to your voicemail, to your cell
Unless-
phone voicemail.
Right, but if you have that checked, then it's not going to go to the voicemail because you haven't confirmed to receive a call.
It's going to go to the voicemail, but I'm not going to connect the original
Right.
caller with your voicemail.
So they can't leave a
I'm
message.
still holding that guy for 30 more seconds, but your voicemail is going to get full. You know,
So, but you're not able
empty.
to leave a voicemail.
Right.
At the end of the
Yeah.
follow, what happens? Follow me, follow me.
And at the end, it's going to go to the original
The
extension
voicemail.
voicemail, which is
Okay.
1000.
Okay.
Okay.
Back to
Oh,
the
so
system.
it'll go back if
So
you don't,
it
if
drops to the
the
default.
confirm is enabled, it'll go back to the first original extension.
Right.
Regardless if the confirmation is enabled or not, we're going to ring 30 seconds. So if no confirmation is received, or if nothing is received, after 30 seconds, go to the next one, and then finally back to the original
The original run robin.
extension's voicemail.
Oh, it goes all the way around.
Yeah.
That's the last destination, right?
Yes.
That's a lot of room.
The problem is that, I mean, as they were saying this morning, is that it's calling one at a time. So sometimes you eventually want to have your other extensions, like this one, and another extension, to ring simultaneously while calling your cell phone as well. We don't do that. We're doing one at a time. The workaround is the ring group.
Yeah. So you could put a single extension in a ring group to allow the simultaneous ringing for their
Multiple
desk and their cell phone. Right. So salesman's not there, he's on the road, you hit his extension, it rings his cell phone, to get the call.
Yeah, we can ring both.
Yeah.
On ring group? On ring
No,
group,
it's
no,
ready.
on ring group you can have only extensions under the ring group.
It's right in
Internal extensions.
It's in follow.
Unless you're using the Grandstream
the
app.
bottom.
Right?
Which is it's like an internal
So
extension.
you put in another, now it says ring along.
Well, on
with
this, you
previous
use a new feature
extension.
that they have to simultaneously.
So now it's ring,
But it can
ring
only ring
yourself
one
and
extension.
ring previous extension at the same time. Yeah. Yeah, you can do that too. That's the same.
But in the ring group now we have this option that besides adding the extensions, I mean, the extensions are going to read simultaneously if you do something like this, fine. And then after 60 seconds or maybe less, you can send it to your cell phone.
External,
Yeah, it's not simultaneously, but at least it's ringing some internal extensions, and after a few seconds, send it to
So
yourself.
it's still a
But
follow.
in the follow me, you can do it simultaneously, right?
No,
No.
it's
It'll
one at a
hit
time.
one and then it'll hit the second one simultaneously, doesn't it?
No.
No, one at a
Because
time.
it says a ring, in follow me, it says ring along with previous extension.
That one, let me see, what is that? I think I saw it. Here, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, see, ring along with previous extension number. So that would be at the same time as the 1005.
Yes?
Yeah,
Right.
so
It's it act like an answer at the end.
Yeah, so they're both ringing at the same time.
So
Yeah.
now you can put your cell
Right.
phone ringing at the same time.
Yeah, it's like an answer.
Well, let's see,
Yeah.
because this is for internal extension. How about you do this? Yeah, the option's still there.
Yeah.
You can enter your cell phone number.
So now it'll ring, you could ring two cell phones technically.
Right.
The
Yeah.
one before and the one right there.
The one in that sequence.
Yeah, it's in sequence.
Now
Yeah,
you see? This one and this one.
yeah. So
It was still acting as a run robin again.
You have to do it after.
I don't get why your cell phone would grab it.
Okay. Paging, intercom. I heard some questions today about paging. So basically, all the Grandstream, most of the IP phones, they have intercom option, right? So basically, upon receiving a special command in the invite, the phone is going to go off automatically. You know, incoming call, I'm going to auto answer it. The Grandstream phones, a Grandstream phone with a Grandstream PBX kind of solution is that you need to dial a intercom start code or feature code, I believe is pound
60, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
over here, feature codes.
Mm.
We're gonna come back to this menu later, but yeah. So you have the paging and the intercom. 80 and 81 or 80. So obviously for 81, which is paging, that means a one-way communication. Intercom, which is star 80, it's going to be a bi-directional communication. So in a Grandstream environment, phone and PBX, you simply dial star 80 or 81, and then the PBX is going to send a message in the invite that the phone needs to have. Actually, let me put it this way. Let me actually open my phone. We call it auto answer by call info. So we're not going to auto answer any call, only calls that has this particular command in the invite. So you have the auto answer. This is a typical auto answer. So basically, if you select this to yes, it's going to auto answer any incoming call. But the one that you need for paging is this one. Enable intercom to paging. So basically, it's going to auto answer only those calls that the UCM sends with a specific command in the invite.
So how do I get that to a speaker?
That one is a speaker. Auto answer meaning connecting directly to the speaker.
But you're programming this under a SAP.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm talking about the phone speaker.
Right.
Now,
yes, okay,
to
yes.
answer your question is, so let me go back here.
Cut it open, you slide it onto the speaker.
7100 though.
Done that before.
Yeah.
So can you set that where you just went into your phone? Can you set that through the UCM? No. You
Yes,
have to.
everything can be made now from the UCM, but now then you need to go to the zero config and look for that particular setting and add it into the template.
Yeah, zero config is basically like
The
doing it
policy,
from
sorry.
your phone, right?
You mean
Say
configuration?
that again?
Like the zero config is basically configuring your phone from the PBX.
Right.
Yeah.
As I showed you before, it's basic information, your extension only,
Yeah.
and then unless you create a policy and start adding more settings to your provision. Now back to paging intercom, you can also create a paging group.
That's one with the speaker.
So create, and later I'm going to the speaker. So this is paging. And I thought the extension was going to be added automatically, but about this 5.5. So this is obviously, paging / intercom. So depending how you want to handle it, select it here, and then you want to say that this is my paging group. So every time that you dial 555,
Everybody knows what that's the case.
all these three phones that I have as the members, they're gonna auto answer, basically.
So you'll page to those 3 extensions, and all 3 of those extensions can talk back to you at the same time?
Yes,
Two-way, right?
two-way, depending if you select paging or intercom.
See what I mean?
Right now I selected the two-way,
That's
so
internal
yes,
paging,
you can do it
right?
like a conference.
Oh, okay.
That's paging.
Oh, that's cool.
What about paging at speaker? Like a horn?
He's getting that.
Yeah. So actually, Grandstream is not making this type of hardware. What is the brand? Volgan, I think.
Volgan.
They make,
Bogan.
Aldo also.
Aldo, Bogan.
Snowman.
I mean, different brands. So it's a specific hardware, right? They need to be connected to an FXS port. So you need to have a Grandstream ATA, and that ATA is registered to the PBX as a regular extension. Then, you can basically just make a simple call to the ATA. The ATA has extension 1010, for example. Then just by calling that extension 1010, without doing anything from here, right? Not saying it's type code, nothing like that, because at the end, the paging or the auto answering is being made by this third-party device.
So once
So
it
simple as that.
detects the ring, it opens a circuit, you do it.
Right.
Well, if it's going through the FX, so you don't need the FXS, or the FXS, and you don't need an ATA.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so we were saying this more later.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, FXS port of the UCM or an ATA.
Right, so how do you, I didn't see in there.
How do you
anywhere-
configure that?
Yeah, where's the FXS ports?
Oh, good.
Because you gotta get an extension number, right?
Right. I mean, the paging most of the time is in a different location, separated of the PBX. That's why I keep thinking about ATA. That's why you need to have an ATA in the warehouse and the PBX is in the phone room. But yes, if you have the paging system locally where the PBX is installed, then you can use the FXS port. So basically, any extension. No. We actually changed that. Not too long ago. We used to have an option here.
Yeah, it's gotta be, I'm trying to find it now. Yeah, because you gotta somehow get it to.
You're trying to page to the FXS?
Yeah.
No, try to configure an FXS port. We moved that option to another menu.
Like the FXS can be the actual.
Yeah.
Yeah, the output, yeah.
Yeah. You still gotta come out there, put it on answers.
Maybe it just does it on its own. No.
No, before actually, when you go to the extension itself, you can select either if this extension is going to be a regular SIP extension, or you can link it or attach it to an FXS. It was a menu over here, but now we cannot separate it to different menu.
Maybe it's in zero config.
It doesn't tell me. If I hit
Import
one,
extension?
It was sharp. You remember?
I'm not following.
FXS, what do you configure FXS? We move the menu to a different, we move that option to a different menu.
Which
It's how to configure an FXS port. I think, yeah.
Configure it to do what?
Just create a new
No,
one.
just assign an extension to it.
one and
Create a new
extension
extension
From the
and create
two.
new
But on the
FX.
page, it's 80 to 1.
And create new, and when you have...
Oh, here. Yeah, it used to be inside.
Oh, there we go.
So, you know, right here, basically you just select that
Those are the extensions?
and
And then you
can, you know, which one, if it's just one or
Oh, there's a
two.
little arrow there.
And all the rest is the same as the regular extensions.
So you just created 3 extensions, wait, so you gotta create 2 extensions?
Well,
Well, 'cause
one
you made,
extension per port, per FXS port.
well, yeah, because you made the paging 1, right? Or whatever you made it, when you were in paging in
Yes,
intercom.
that's in case I'm using IP phones.
Internal.
To
That's
be
internal.
my-
So that has nothing to do with
The paging works
paging
now.
speaker?
No.
Okay. Yes.
So here, when you have a third-party paging system, then you want to connect it to the local FXS, then you create an extension, which is 1010 in this case. Click Save, and now you have 1010 for that FXS1.
Okay.
So that can be in the paging group, right?
No, if you are having a third-party paging system,
Yeah.
UCM is not doing anything, just sending a regular call to the FXS.
That's that,
And it's the third-party device that is detecting the ringing voltage and how to answer automatically.
Right.
We're not doing anything.
But that extension can be in the group that you're paging when you set up your paging.
It
group,
could
no?
be, but it doesn't matter because
Sets and speakers.
Sets and ports.
Yeah, so if I want to get the warehouse and all the offices. I
Like
want
Bob
all-
pick up two, yeah.
no, but again, let me see if I can.
Can you just make a ring group?
There you go, North Star.
So, for example, okay, I created 1010, right? To my FXS1.
Yeah.
Why did I also hear the capacitors?
You can probably add 1010.
You got 2-way too, right?
Yeah. But, okay, it can be part of the group, you're right.
Right.
Yes. I was thinking that internally the UCM is sending like a specific command so the IP phone can auto answer. But those commands doesn't apply to the FXS,
You still need it.
But yes, you're right.
You need another device to plug into that
Right, yeah, of
FXS
course.
port.
which is auto answering automatically.
Yes. And Grandstream does not supply such a device? Put that on your list.
See, 1010, okay, so
What else? Release, select paging.
Now, why you make some modules?
Group 6.
That's the
New?
other one, it's a sort of-
there's no
This is a good one. So for other vendors, IP phones, I was telling you that the UCM is basically sending in the invite an alert info
You
with
gotta understand that trick.
a text. So the Grandstream phone knows that this is a paging, so we're gonna auto answer, right? As I mentioned before. But if you're using a third-party phone, other brand, sometimes they may be expecting to receive in that alert info another word, like intercom 3, for example, or auto answer. You know, any vendor they can do the same. So if you're using another brand IP phone and you know what is the header of the alert info, you can enter it here.
Yeah, what about the... No, I mean,
Custom prompt, so
How does
I mean
the
within a
speaker
few
go?
seconds before the phone auto answer, you can hear probably a small message that you can include here. I don't see that necessary because normally when you press the intercom button, you're gonna get the audio almost right away.
Everything you
alert
want,
is full headers.
and give it to them.
A lot of
Then we get
them
the
require
standard.
semicolons and hyphens in there,
You know?
and Grandstream won't allow
So
you
the
to.
application, you can mailbox out.
Oh, so your phone requires it,
Yeah,
and when you enter it here,
it will take it,
Format,
it says
that's
it's
what
really
you get.
oh yeah, that's a good point. Do you know the characters right now? Or?
semicolon and hyphen.
All right.
What brand phones?
One I can think of off the top of my head is Astra.
Semicolon and
nuclear extension.
Plug something into that.
It's ringing now, so it's not.
Oh, yeah, so we come at it and just ring the.
All right. Weird. That's what those supposed to be, but
Oh, okay, so the next
there's a
device
memory
line.
program first, so you have to.
Gotcha.
That's just now an extension, so it does that.
Do any of the Grandstream phones have a headset port?
We used to, but now we use only the, I mean, we do have headset port RJ11,
RJ11.
which is in the back of the
Yeah,
phone.
there's two in the back.
I'm just thinking something you could go to the back of a very inexpensive set and then go to the amplifier.
Oh,
Like
okay.
a headset.
Oh, yeah, and also equal size.
Equal?
That would be good.
So like to do an auto answer for Astra, it's info equals alerts, type in auto answer.
Well, we are sending already the alert, I mean, in the header, we're sending the alert info equals, and then the header.
Yeah, so you're sending alert, type in info colon, space, and then whatever's in that alert info header field comes after that. So after that, I need to be able to put in info equals alert, type in auto answer.
Okay. We'll take a look. I was gonna say, oh, okay. Now, this is even better. For school systems, sometimes you want to have every single phone to do an auto answer, a paging actually, for emergencies or things like that, right?
Your voice call.
So you have a limitation here of the concurrent calls. For the 6102, you can have how many? 25 concurrent calls. So in that case, if you have a 50 deployment of 50 phones, you cannot do a massive paging to all 50 phones. Even if you're doing 25 or 20 or maybe 15, that's a lot of load for the PBX.
What if it's in a group?
Huh?
What if it's in a group? Doesn't matter?
Even, yeah, it's going to overload it more. But what I'm saying is that, well, yeah. So what we're doing now, at the phone level, we have the broadcast paging. So basically, you configure some broadcast IP addresses in the phone. So when you press the paging button, the phone is going to send a broadcast to the switch. It's not going to the PBX. It's going to the switch and then broadcast it to the whole network. So all the phones are going to start ringing.
So it bypasses that.
Bypass the PBX and then all the phones that you have in that network are going to start ringing.
Ringing or?
I mean,
Yeah, group,
paging.
voice call, right?
Yeah. And then you can create multiple groups, in case you want to allocate different groups of phones.
So that has to be set up in each phone?
And on the phone side, yes.
Just for broadcast?
Where is that?
I don't have it, it should be actually in advanced settings.
Zero config and then go edit.
I mean, you can also do it from the zero config,
Yeah.
but if you want to see it quickly on the phone, advanced
Configured
settings,
everything.
broadcast, multicast paging.
Oh, yeah, I see now. You just, go into the.
Advanced settings,
All right, let's do a call queue.
So extension groups, just you know them?
Give me a few.
We don't need to waste the time. Just run them.
Yeah, no, because you know what, I saw it here when we were doing the paging. You can have a extension group. So maybe, that doesn't make sense. At the end, you can still do it from here. Know what I mean? So
No, actually,
maybe-
this is where it makes sense. So you create the extension group for paging. And then you basically...
Yeah, but you're still doing that from this menu.
Rather than doing single extensions, you can just basically...
You're just doing it either way, right? You're putting all those extensions into a group and then just moving it over, so you're doing
Yeah,
the same thing
also.
twice, like,
Well,
either way it's
It's
the same.
open one way or the other.
Yeah, one way or the
Or
other.
you have different groups of extensions, and then you come here, and then you can add, group extension, extension group 1, extension group 2,
Yeah.
maybe.
And with the latest firmware on these Grandstream phones, you can't log in with using Chrome automatically.
What latest firmware on the phone? What phone? XP?
GXP 2130, I've been choosing
No, that could,
1.0.4.23.
that I doubt it. Maybe some
This
local
is real.
issues.
There's like twice as expensive as this.
I know. For the exact same thing.
Do you talk about enable answer by info?
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
just
Safari
making
works
sure.
fine. Chrome doesn't.
I don't know. Clear your cache or try another computer, but I'll be aware of that one. That firmware was released like a few months ago.
Yeah,
already.
Safari works fine, Chrome doesn't.
Chrome works on mine.
And Firefox works fine too.
We don't have plugins actually.
What's that?
We don't have it. We don't use any plugin.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. Could be a unique case. All right, focus. So, it's going to create automatically an extension number, 6500. You can name it as my call queue test. Then you have these different type of strategies, obviously like a ring all, linear, less recent, the fewest called, received, random, or round robin. Of course, you enter the group here, but back to the typical settings. So music on hold during when the call is user is waiting in the line. You can play different type of announcement or recordings. Leave when empty, strict by default. So basically, if the call queue has no agents logged in,
You want to sit there waiting for
they
it?
can leave. The call is not going to go in. The call is not going to go into the queue. But if you want to make it more flexible, if you said yes, then even that no one is logged into the queue, the call can still go to the queue, and then eventually someone's going to log in. That happens, for example, at the beginning of the shift. It's at 9 o'clock. Someone calling at 8:55. They can still call. The call is going to be waiting for 5 minutes until 9 o'clock. Someone joins the call queue.
Is there any timeout that after you're waiting on hold in a queue and the queue is active, say after 15 minutes, can you say go to voicemail? Or is it just stuck in the
Now
queue?
we added that option. Yeah, it didn't make sense at the beginning because you're in a queue. So, but yes, we
Yeah,
added
like, I'm done waiting, I'm just gonna leave somebody a message, they can call me back. That type of thing.
right here. Let me get there in a few.
Yeah, there's a wait time.
So we have the dial in empty queue. Oh, my bad. So this is what I said before. And
Yeah, the other way around.
And this one, the leave when empty. So once you are in the queue, you can still. I don't know exactly what this one is. Sometimes a tooltip works.
Well, they can still be in the queue. It just says if they're paused during dial, they get disconnected.
If you are in the queue, waiting, and all the members, they basically sign out of the queue. So in that moment, depending what you select here, the call is gonna go to voicemail, or it's gonna stay.
Yeah, so no would keep them in.
Right. Oh, this is a nice one. So you have, for example, a call queue with these members, right? But suddenly you have a lot of phone calls, and then you want to have one of the support guys to join into the queue. So instead of going into the administrator, start adding the extensions here. Basically, when you enable this option, anyone can dial. Anyone can. How do you call it?
Log in?
Any agent, any extension can become an agent, logging into the queue.
Log in agent.
Right.
Because they still have to log in, it doesn't automatically log them in, right?
No, they need to
They need
manually
the
log
password
in.
in after you put in your money.
So they log in through their phone, or they have to?
With their phones. They basically dial into 6500, and because we have that option turned on, then you enter the PIN number here, they enter it, and they are in the queue.
Your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please check the number.
Queue options, so we have the ring timeout before, from one member going to the next member or agent. The wrap-up time.
So you can actually remove all the static agents and just leave it all at the dynamic.
Also,
logged in.
yes. I don't know if you can create a call queue without any agent here.
Does Grandstream have the option to update the display on the phone when that agent is logged in?
Now we do, yes. If you have the latest firmware in both the phone and the PBX. I'm sorry, what exactly information you need? from
So
the display?
say I'm agent 1204, I log in, it'll update the phone saying extension 1204 and whatever my name is.
Oh, like that.
Has
He
logged
goes
in.
on
Yeah.
extension 1000, but when he signs on as an agent, does it take over as 1204?
If he signs
No,
on with his
because
agent
your
ID number.
agent number always going to be your extension.
Okay, so your agent number and your extension are not one and the same.
In this case, they are, because you are always logging in from your phone. So always
you
going to
just-
be extension 1000.
You just
when
said
you join.
anybody could be an agent though. What if they're, right?
Yeah, so if when they become an agent, they're going to be an agent with their own extension number.
Also,
So,
That's
so
why
you've
you-
got two extension numbers.
That's why you, no,
Extension
that's why
number
you use other logins.
Still, you're going to be joining from one extension. You
Okay,
can only
just asking, because I'm used to abstracts and
So the dynamic.
Yeah, yeah, dynamic
log
login as well.
in, it assigns you an extension, you didn't have one.
But, in this case, it's different with using the same extension. But the GXP phones on the display, by the way, we're having a conference.
Okay, so you're on.
When you are in the call queue, there are a lot of statistics or data that the UCM puts to the phone. For example, in a call queue, if you are an agent, then you can see in your phone's LCD how many calls are waiting, how many agents are logged in, those kind of information. If you dial into a conference breach, you can see in your phone how many attendees are in the breach, the last caller ID, and the last people who left the queue. So, that's a nice option.
And is there also an option, so it will say that we're very busy right now, your average time on hold is, say, 60 minutes?
Yes.
Would you like us to call you back when your position comes up in the queue?
Right. We don't have that option at the moment.
Okay, but it is planned, I guess?
Yeah, that one is when we have the billing system implemented, because for now we don't have a database that is counting the time, doing the average. But the UCM is going to be having a billing module soon. Wrap-up time is basically 15 seconds by default, meaning when an agent finishes a call, the system is going to wait at least 15 seconds before sending the next call. The max queue length, 0 seconds. Report hold time, when you receive the call, the UCM is going to tell the agent, this is the time that the caller was waiting in the queue.
Oh, how long have they been waiting?
For how long they were waiting. And also you can record every single calls going into the queue. Now we added this option, enable destination. So after X amount of time, which is
Yeah, you can go to like a voicemail or something.
queue timeout. So basically after 60 seconds, a call in the queue, then you can send it to another destination.
Right back in the queue. Right back in the queue.
Endless loop.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna manage my time, and we have about till 4:30, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you want
about another hour.
25, you gotta hand out the test.
4:25, you have to take a quick break.
Yeah, let's do. I want to go into the troubleshooting also. I want to go into the uploading the custom prompts. So let's do this first. Feature code. I mean, remember that UCM has a nice way that is auto-detecting the features by listening to the DTMF. So, you know, I mean, these options are disabled by default because most of the time it's line transfer. You can do it from your phone. The attended transfer, you know, disconnect. Everything can be made at the phone side. But if you prefer the UCM to do it for you, especially the code park, you can turn that on. And basically, you can configure that MPK with #72. So when you receive a call, press the speed dial, the UCM is going to transfer the call to the call parking, and it's going to provide a message saying the call has been parked in lot number 70X.
Does it show it on the phone at all, that there's park?
Right, so the logic that the UCM is doing is that the UCM assign the call to a lot that is in this range, parking lots, 701 through 720. So when you press #72, the UCM transfer or park the call in 701 first. And if you have a second call parked, it's going to send it to 702. So what you can do is in your phone, you can enable a BLF, maybe 2 is enough, that are monitoring 701 and 702. So when you park the call, all the phones, BLF, the first one, which is 701, is going to start blinking red. So you can yell or page, and then you have a call in line 1, so they can press the button and take the call.
Did you allow both? For the call park, is that what you did, or allow both?
I did both, yeah. Audio mix, so audio recording, remember I mentioned that one? So basically you can record, if you're not recording per extension, you can record on demand. Basically you just simple dial, you are in a call, dial star 3, and then you can start recording out, the caller, the callee, or both directions.
I don't think you need the caller, I use what I say.
You can activate DND. All these feature codes are configurable, so in case they're conflicting with your server or your service provider feature codes, you can always configure them.
You can change all those, right?
Yeah.
These are standard names, for the most part, for sure.
Didn't I just see? Oh, #7. Star 72 is called #7.
calls for it.
Are you in it now? Which can I still, I guess,
What? Some phones are
That's an insult.
depending on the phone, right? All right. Voicemail access code. Start 98. Basically for voicemail, to access the voicemail in general. When you access the Star 98, maybe you can do it now, you're going to be prompted to enter the extension number and then the password. But if you want to go directly to your extension, then you want to dial Star 97. That message that you heard is an asterisk message, a lot of complaints. We're eventually going to change it, but since you can change the system prompts, you can also do it.
What does she say? Canadian mail? I thought she said Canadian mail.
Well, you're right.
We're in Canada.
She sounds like saying Canadian mail.
Very customized. Canadian.
Regionalized.
Now you have the agent pause. Agent pause is basically the call queue agents, log in, log out, we call it pause or unpause. So basically you can configure an MPK or a soft key with star 83 or star 84. to have the call queue members to log in and out. Blacklist add, so when you wanna, what is it again? When you receive an incoming call and you wanna blacklist that number, simply dial *40 and the UCM knows what number to blacklist. So you're never gonna receive more calls from your,
Even if the caller ID is not passed through?
no. You need to be
All
back
private
to
calls
that.
don't come through.
Don't answer private numbers.
There's some magic in it.
And you can remove it by pressing *4.
The pickup extension, is that if another extension's ringing, and then you press *8 and then their extension?
So
and
maybe
you
we
grab their call?
want to talk about BLF. Somebody was asking about that. Maybe go back. Let me move to MPKs or maybe BLF. So in your phones, maybe you don't have a phone with MPKs, but basically when you configure an MPK as a BLF, obviously you're monitoring another extension. The statuses are green, red, and blinking red. Obviously, green is when the other extension is available. Blinking red is when the other extension is ringing, is receiving a call. So if you are here and you can listen the other phone ringing, and you want to cover the guy who left and step out of the office, then you can press the BLF that is blinking, and then the phone is going to send the ** plus the extension. And then you see him know, okay, he wants it to pick up that call. Then you can take it from your phone. But if the BLF is in solid red, that means that that phone is in use. Yeah.
So that's by default, like anybody can.
Grandstream, most of the phones, right?
No, but I'm saying, like, if you have a BLF on your phone and you see it flashing, somebody else's phone is ringing, you can pick up their call.
Right. And then if you don't want to do that, we can talk about pickup groups. So then you have the cell guys, and you don't want the cell guys to pick up the call from the support guys.
Yes.
So then you can create different groups. Only this guy can pick up calls from within this group.
Grab each other's.
Yeah.
We want to support pickup sales.
Pickup extension is that you don't have a BLF, but you hear that extension that is ringing. You know that his extension is 1,000, so you basically dial *8, 1,000, and pick up that call.
Sorry, to pick up.
You want to transfer a call to a voicemail?
Already got one.
You have that option on the PBXs. So I want to transfer, I'm receiving a call. I'm going to transfer your call not to the extension, but to the extension's voicemail. So I dial transfer * and your extension, and then the call gets transferred to your voicemail directly.
So star is voicemail transfer.
Right.
By pressing the star is voicemail transfer.
No, you need to transfer, and then you dial * and the extension number.
Okay, so but star takes you to the voicemail box.
Right. Yes.
Right, but transfer and extension number goes straight to extension.
Right.
Okay. Star is your hello.
Yeah, stars get the ring.
Yeah.
The call completion request or call camp, remember when you enable the CC option in the extension. In order to utilize that option, then you need to dial, when you dial an extension, it's busy, you simply dial *11, and then UCM is going to start monitoring that extension. When it becomes available, it's going to connect you.
It's called camp.
Call camp, but I don't know what it's called. Call completion. I think it was called camp.
Same thing, right?
Yes. And then these are the barging options that we have. So we have the spy, listening spy, whisper. Basically, you can jump into a call. They cannot hear you. You want them to hear you. So depending on how you want to do it, you have these options.
So only that you're, say, like, we can hear each other, but the caller calling in can't hear.
Yeah, for training, for example, that one would be the whisper spy.
Whisper, yeah.
You can talk to the other agent, but the caller cannot hear anything.
Yeah. Stop cursing.
All right, music on hold. So basically, these are the music on hold that we have. As I mentioned before, we group them by classes. So I have my class which is the default. In this class, I have these recordings, and when you are on hold, you're going to be listening to each individual recording in a different manner, order, depending how it was configured, randomly or alphabetically.
Or you make your own and upload it.
Right. Or if you want to create your own class. Select the order, save, and then here you start uploading your recordings.
Question for you, now, like, this is like through the internet type deal, so could you not have it as like a radio station?
No.
No?
No, but this is the way that you can do it. Not the best way, but I mean, the UCM doesn't have a line input,
Yeah.
right? However, the phones, they have an option, we call it Music on Hold URI. And then you have a field where you can enter an IP address of a server that is broadcasting radio station or something like that. So you can do that from the phone side.
So that would just come out of your phone and not actually onto the
Right.
PBX.
So eventually I think we're going to be adding that option into the PBX.
Thank you.
Now keep an eye on this message. So when uploading the recordings, make sure that they are following this format, 8 kilohertz mono, and this is an issue that was reported to me a couple days ago. In this message, we're not indicating the whole format. We're missing something, which is 16-bit. So, for example, when you go to the custom prompt, I can come back here later. When you do an upload custom prompt, then here we provide the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
So we're saying that it's going to be a PCM encoded, 16-bit, 8,000 hertz mono, and all the type of files, MP3, WAV. Now we support basically everything: RAW, ULO, ILO, DSM, and a maximum of 5 megs. However,
PCM encoded, so if I wanted to do a radio, let's say a song,
MP3.
it's just MP3 and that's it?
I think MP3 should be enough.
Okay.
That should be a PCM file. However, here in the Music on Hold, it's kind of incomplete. So the other day, a guy was trying to make a file following this description, and he was missing the 16 bits. So we need to fix that soon. Okay, now back to the custom prompt. That one was the Music on Hold. Now in the custom prompt, this is for IVRs, call queues. So basically, you can do it in different ways, either by pressing the record new custom prompt. You do tests, for example. Then you enter your extension. One. When you click record, the system's going to call your phone.
What format do you recommend recording?
Well, in this case, you're basically picking up.
No, but it gave you a format.
Yeah. Testing 1, 2, 3. So once you finish your recording, you can up. And then the prompt is going to be listed here in a few seconds.
Then you just add it to whatever.
This is GSM.
That was the one that I did from the phone. Now, to answer your question, if you want to upload a professional recording, MP3, I recommend. But again, you can do all these formats. At the end, the system is encoding it into a different format that you see this using. So you have your professional recording, you upload it here, and you can replay it.
Just play it out of your phone?
No, back to the browser, to your computer. Okay.
And that's your on hold message? that recording that you're doing, is that your on hold message? Is that
No,
what somebody's
the
waiting
on
for?
hold message is here.
That's for sales press 1, for accounting press 2.
IBR.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's the top.
And the follow me prompt, or while it's doing the follow me.
Right, that one is music on hold, so whatever you have in the music on hold, you can create multiple classes, and then in the follow me you can select what class you want to use. I was gonna show you,
Oh, wait, next one. I noticed there's a setting in there to enable SSH, but you said you can't.
to enable what?
SSH.
Yes.
But you said we can't log into SSH, so why does it have a feature to enable?
Yes, you can access via SSH. You don't have the full access to the command line.
So
Asterisk command line.
what do you have?
This is basic Grandstream commands. Upgrade, reboot, backup, something, things like that. There's a document for that, all the commands that you can use. But wait, I was gonna show you something about the recordings. Oh, the language. We did that already. Oh, the system prompt. Conversation. Yes. So I showed you this before, right? I didn't have internet, but when you want to change or add another language for the system prompt, now that I have internet, you click here, and then you're going to get all the languages package available. You can download French, for example. And still the default is English, but you can also make the French as the default, or when creating extensions you can assign the French for some extensions and keep English as the default. But if you want to customize the system messages, remember these are asterisk messages, so you can go to Digium, download the files, you can edit it with your own voice recordings. You can encode it again, and then once you have a package, then you can upload it from here. But this is something you need to do yourself. We don't provide any information. I mean, since we're using After, then we can refer you. All the thing we can do is refer you so you can do your system prompt yourself by checking After forums.
How come Chinese is the first language?
No, not the first one. It's English is the first one. It's by default.
Chinese is the second one.
Oh,
I mean, it's first on the
Unless you're
list.
on Romans, and then it's Chinese first.
no, he's got the same thing.
Because Squid will come before you.
No, but that's.
You're right.
They had it 6 months before us.
All right. AMI. So remember,
Yeah.
this is the Asterisk management interface. So we have an API. So in other words, you can still access the PBX via SSH. And back to your question about SSH. I mean, SSH is enabled by default, I believe. So you can access the PBX for Grandstream command, like I said before. However, if you want to enable AMI is the Asterisk management interface. That interface is still limited. So you can still access the device. I mean, you can create a username and password to access the AMI. Then once you access the PBX, you can, and there's a document for this, so you see all the commands that you can utilize. Most of them are read-only, so we don't let people to kind of write to save information through the AMI. We prefer them to use the interface, the web interface.
So in other words, you can't automate the process.
Say that again?
You can't automate the process.
No, it's a Grandstream solution.
So nothing like drop files or anything like that.
So, no.
Or sorry, I mean in call files. Or you can create automated
No.
calls.
Yeah, I know, that's so you can grab the files and go edit it. All right, a little bit about SIP settings. So remember, let me talk about the security. So from here, I'm going to jump into the firewalls. Number one, if you have the PBX and to expose to the public network, basically, please change the 5060 to something else. Okay.
So,
What port do you recommend changing it to?
Oh, anything. More than
And is it?
2,000 up to 55,000.
UDP port?
Any port, I mean, a port that nobody knows is the best. All right, so for security, let's do this. Port number here, you change it. Then you go to the firewall options. And then we have, this is SCP-102, so it has firewall, it has a router. So normally if you want to protect your PBX that is connected directly to the modem, you can enable the ping defense, ping of death, and then you can create your own firewall rules. Basically, if you want to block SSH, for example, you create an action, either accepted, rejected, or drop. The type, this is for inbound. Normally it could be for the one port. And then, I mean, we have a preset of applications, so you can basically select SSH. But if it's another protocol that is not listed here, then you can go to custom and enter the typical port number that they use.
So you can't lock it off against certain IP addresses and allow it?
Yeah, you can. So, for example, this, you can do only SSH. But if you customize it, you want to reject or drop, it's up to you. Type incoming traffic from the one interface, customize it, and then you can enter the IP address.
Oh,
The source IP, the destination IP, and the protocol.
So would that be like the range, the source and destination?
No, the
Where
specific
it's coming
specific
from,
IP.
where it's going to.
Yeah, specific IP. Normally, the destination is the same IP, public IP of the PBX.
In the ports, can you specify a range or only a single port?
Single port, and then you can add more rules.
So the destination is the
The PBX itself.
PBX, okay.
Can you fill that in for an example?
Yeah,
That
the
would-
source could be the hacker's IP address,
I know that.
or an IP that you don't want to access the. I mean, most of the time, what you want to do is
You want to accept the
you want
ones
to
you know.
accept only your SIP server provider
Yeah.
and reject the rest.
If you have reject, can you leave source blank and put destination as the,
You still have both, so you can specify an IP to reject it.
can you leave the source blank though and put the PBX IP as your destination, then it'll reject everything?
But your
I
PBX?
don't think so. Let's try.
And also typically for RDP on asterisk is what, 10,000 to 20,000? I'm not gonna sit there and enter in 10,000 ports.
Yeah, you can.
So that'll reject everything coming in,
Right.
trying to get into
Right.
PBX.
Even calls?
Yes.
Reject calls too?
Yes. Yes. Anything, any traffic coming from that particular, from any IP.
Yeah.
So then you need to create a rule to accept only traffic from your service provider.
Oh, okay.
No, that's pretty cool.
So if you have a softball
Then you're good to go.
that you travel with,
Yeah.
you can't do that.
You can reject
because your IP is going to be changing all the time.
Right.
Gotta be static.
So what I would do is reject everything and accept SIP. Well, but at the same, it's not secure.
Failed.
You just change it when you're doing it.
Yeah, that case would be
Just change it. Take it off while you're there. And put
No,
it on.
Yeah, but
You've got someone traveling
Not
on the road.
convenient.
Oh,
You can't, you don't want this to be your bike.
That's why we have failed to ban. So let me jump into that in a few. Then we have the dynamic defense. So basically you turn that on and it's going to listen for multiple, what is the dynamic defense, TCP, malformed packets, I think. So this is a firewall typical option. So basically you turn that on, and when receiving multiple packets from an IP address, then we're going to blacklist it. However, the one that we're doing, I'm more interested is in the SIP messages. So fail to ban is basically listening to SIP messages. You can have a deployment with a lot of phones remote, and the fail to ban, when you enable that, and it's detecting multiple packets within multiple packets from one specific IP, we're going to ban the IP address for this time, and we're going to allow the maximum retry duration of this time. That's something that you really need to turn on if you have the PBX connected directly to the modem. And then of course you're going to protect yourself by keeping the same IP address.
so is that your service provider IP, or is that
No,
PBX?
the UCM itself.
Okay.
Basically, it's only listening to SIP packets that are coming in a brutal force. So legit extensions, the remote extensions, they normally send a packet every few seconds. Those are fine. Normally this type of system or robot that are sending what they call SIP attacks, they're sending brute force, a bunch of packets with a lot of passwords inside the registration packet.
Now you check after service.
After service, I don't know why you need to enable that, because at the end it's yourself.
So I guess this whole firewall got added recently as well.
Just to protect yourself, I guess. I mean, sometimes the same PBX is sending. No, I don't know why you need to enable that after the service. Because at the end is local. Well, local settings. I mean, it won't hurt, right? To enable it. But for sure, turn fail to ban on. And then when a fail to ban blacklists an IP, if you enable the event list, you're gonna receive an email, event notifications. Then you're gonna be notified by email. All right, in the latest firmware, we have the super admin, which is the default, and then you can create what we call administrator. So we have the super admin, or the super administrator, and then you can create an administrator. That administrator is going to have access to everything except to create or remove the super admin. And then consumer, we're going to rename it. I didn't like that one. Normally it's an extension. So each individual extension now, they have their own user ID and password, so they can access the web interface. And this is the same password that is in the extension menu.
Yeah. And now all of level 1 user connect level 2.
The good thing is that when you enable when you edit the admin, if you ever forgot your password, it's going to send it to your email that you entered here. That is something that we didn't have before. You forget the password and you have no way to,
Refactory, reset.
Unfortunately.
Actually,
Oh, now we added in DNS. Sorry, that must be a new one. So now you can access, you don't need to have a static IP
This is what I want to see.
with your ISP. Now you can use DNS.
I don't have port forwarding, but I have everything else.
You know how this works? So you need to have a service with one of these companies. Then you need to enter the credentials, and then the UCM is going to be registered with that DNS company, sort of like a pinging the public IP. So when you purchase a domain name with one of these service DNS providers, my PBX.com, for example, you need to purchase that domain name with these people. So when you want to access the domain name, basically that service company knows already what is the IP address of your client, or in this case the PBX. So if your ISP changes the IP address, the UCM always going to be pinging these companies, so they know always what is the latest IP address.
But I assume you still need to do the port forwarding on your router and stuff, right?
No, this is in case the PBX is connected directly to the modem.
Oh, okay, okay.
If you are using a router, yeah, then in that case you need to turn on the DNS on the router side.
Yeah, okay.
Sometimes they have these clients there. We talk about the email settings. So you see by default MTA is enabled, meaning that the UCM is ready to start sending emails. But it's a limited. MTA means that it's not authenticating with any email server. But you know, it's ready to send emails. But sometimes some ISP, they may block it, thinking that it's a spam, or some email server can flag it as a spam email. So if you're having that issue, then you can basically configure, register the UCM with your own Gmail, Hotmail, or your own email server.
Can I say something about the DNS thing? May I?
Sure.
Okay, so if you use like the way we do it, and if you're using our SIP trunks too, there is an easy way of doing that. So on our portal that we give you, you can go and see what's the IP address, which is like the public IP address for the UCM that your client has. By just going to your portal, move the mouse over the SIP trunk, you can see which IP address is registered. So when you go and access that UCM, you just type in the IP address in your browser, and before that you make sure that you forward port 8089 to the PBX IP inside the network. That's how we do it. It's very, very easy. You don't have to worry about losing a DNS or losing or having a static IP or losing anything. You know what I'm saying? Because I see like you're looking like what he's talking about.
Well, 8089 is the port that the UCM is using for HTTP.
Yeah,
for the web
HTTPS. Yeah.
HTTPS.
So yeah, the only thing, port HTTPS on your router to the static IP of your internal IP address of the UCM. And to know the public IP, which keeps changing if your customer does not have a static one, then you just go to our, either you call the customer and say, go to Google, type, what's my IP? And then he's going to get his current public IP address. You just go to your browser from anywhere in the world, put the IP address, call in 8089. Wow, HTTPS IP address, call in 8089. Boom, you are into his IP PBX, into his UCM. We found that really, really very easy to use, and you don't have to do anything except that port forwarding of 8089. Just my 2 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you do that port forwarding of 8089?
At the router side.
At the router, yeah. Here, well, this may work, but you still need to do the port forwarding at the router. This DNS thing, it's gonna work.
Yes, it's gonna hit. Again, the DNS, in case the PBX is the router.
Yeah.
It's connected directly to the modem. So you want to access it from outside. And then you have an ISP that is changing the IP frequently. Then you want to use DNS. But if you have the PBX behind a router, then you either connect the DNS on the router side and do the port forwarding to the PBX. Now we talked, remember about time settings? This is where you create the office time and the holidays. So office time, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. That's your office time. Obviously, anything outside of that is considered the out of office time. And then the holidays, you can start adding all the holidays for 1 year. You do only once at the beginning of the year. And then remember all the inbound rules, they're going to be following whatever you enter in the holidays or office times. Quick example. You do January 1st, and then save it. And then you go to the next holiday, the next holiday. You're going to have multiple holidays here.
Oh, you should just make it one giant
Right.
like calendar, and then you can just
Yeah.
click. Instead of having to go in and create each day.
Right?
I use my own.
And then the following
You
year,
know what I mean?
what is it?
Yeah, I know, but. What?
So much screen record that they'll screen it.
Let's see if I can fix it.
What holidays do they have here? Memorial Day? Maybe? I know that here is different, but anyways, you get the idea. So you select the time,
Yeah.
then you create all your holidays. And then guess what? In the following year, in January, you come back here, you cannot review the dates, make some changes, but do it only once. Now recordings.
So you just click all the months. And then do the day.
So we talk about call recordings. Remember, you can record everything going through a trunk, going from an extension, or on demand, right? By selecting the start code. So all the recordings are going to be stored, whatever you configure here. Right now, I think I don't have any external devices, but I mean, obviously, it's going to record it locally, but the flash is limited. If you have a large USB drive or like a NAS using USB, then you can select here. Actually, we have one here. So I have an SD card, and I can say, all my recordings send it to the SD card, or send it locally.
How big is space is on locally?
1 gig.
Oh.
So for call recording, sometimes that's not
Did
enough.
you put it
so-
into the PBS? Did you put it in the PBS, your phone, and the computer you're using? Can you use
No,
it
one in one
just the
location.
PBX, or do you? What do you call it?
So that's why you can select here, right? So you can do. Normally, it's in a remote storage, right? Like an SD card or USB stick. Or if you prefer local, that's fine. And then we have an auto change, meaning that when you remove the SD card, then automatically it's going to go to the local. If you don't want that to happen, you want always to go to the SD card. Even if you remove the SD card, then at that point you're not going to be recording or storing anything in the SD card. That's why it's better to have the auto change.
So the USB that's on this, that's the local?
No, the USB, if I have a USB stick, I can stick in it, and then you're going to have another option here that's going to say USB.
Locals
So you
just
can
a
select
built-in hard drive and
the built-in hard drive.
They can use one of those self-powered ones, so like the passport,
With a USB connector?
like a terabyte.
Yeah, it has a
hard
1
drive.
terabyte.
Terabyte hard drive.
Yeah, USB, right? So external hard drive using USB, yes, you have to control this. They have their own OS. But if you're using like a memory stick, I think there's a limit of 32 gigs.
I don't know, like I think that would be like it's just a small little USB terabyte hard drive. There's self-power coming through the USB
Yes.
connector. Right, there's no external additional power supply now.
Depending on the hard drive, but that one, I think we have a limitation because we're using 532. So we can recognize up to 32 gigs of your hard drive. If you have more, you can always recognize 32.
I think
But
what
there's
he's
some
getting at is because it's supplying enough power to be able to power the hard
Oh,
drive.
power, yes. I mean, we're using a USB 2.0, so
But it has,
everything's standard.
it has a ceiling of 32 gigs, it's the maximum storage you'll see.
So you put a gig on it, so it's super.
Right.
I don't think they saw anything smaller than 500.
Yeah.
Couldn't you just put it
But
on,
there's some,
and put it on again?
there are some NAS USB that they have their own OS, so you can have unlimited space, I mean, depending on the hard drive. And then from the USB port, we basically send the data there. We don't care about spacing at that time. I mean, 32 gigs is a lot still.
Yeah, 30 weeks is,
Where would you change this, where do you make the setting changes to either re-record over it when it's full or stop recording?
Good. You know, I think I was thinking confused with the surveillance that we have. In the MDR, we have that option. In here, I don't recall having that option.
So what will it
So
do?
basically, it's going to stop recording.
Yeah. Sounds good.
And then remember,
Does
you
it
have
give you
the
a,
events.
does it give you like a
And
notification?
then it looks like. So this is my SD card. So I have one backup. So eventually, if you have some issues with your PBX and you get a new replacement, brand new PBX, it has to be the same model, by the way. This is a 6102, so you need to restore the backup on the same model.
What about the firmware?
Yeah, everything's here.
No, what if this is a
No.
firmware of today, it's 4 years from now and it's a newer version?
No, you're right. No, firmware is not that backup. So still gonna work.
You just update it.
Depending on the time of the aging, right? So
Right.
there were some firmwares a year and a half ago that may not work fine with the way that we back up files now. As a matter of fact, back in about a couple of years ago, we were the backup could be restored in any PBX model, but then we found that there were some issues, obviously, because of the some differences in the extensions, in the features. So then we limited to one backup per model. So anyhow, when you have a restore, you want to restore it, you basically click here, and then you're going to restore the backup.
Is there a way to set it to do an auto backup?
Yes, that's next.
Do a weekly backup, you're pretty much up to date with your firmware, a monthly
Yeah.
or something?
So that's what we call the data synchronization. So you enable that. Obviously, you select what you want to back up. And this is, by the way, using an FTP server. SFTP, by the way. And the only thing is that it's going to do this once a day. In hours, so the time of the day that you want the backup to be pushed to that server. So you want to enter at 12, 11 p.m. You configure the account, the IP, the password, the IP address of the server. Then at 11 o'clock every day, the data is going to be pushed to that server.
To that server remotely or on-site?
Could be remotely.
It's not just
Whatever
doing
the
it, it's just not
IP
doing it
address
to that USB.
No, do it through the network.
It's one of the network,
Okay.
so whatever the IP address is,
Right.
that's where it's.
And then you have a synchronize all data button, so you don't want to wait until 11 p.m. You can just basically click over here. It's going to push everything out there.
Ernesto,
Yes.
if you go to backup restore,
one up, and the button to the top right in green, regular backup file, and you do it to USB or USB as well on a regular basis.
Oh, let me see that. So yes, that's a new option actually.
Oh, backup time.
Mhm. So you got it.
Then you have
That's
to
what you-
Local backup.
Yeah.
have it on the
You put a stick in it and it backs it up and it screws up and takes the
Nice.
stick out.
Yeah, I like that because two
That's
backup.
where
Now
you
I
get
gotta
the
pay
one.
for another backup.
That's where you get the 1 terabyte hard drive.
Then you
Just
just
leave it
The
on.
other one was,
How much information, how big of hard drive would you require to do that backup?
Say that again?
How big,
How big is? Well, depends. This one, for example, is only 4 megs. You see? But my Office backup is about 400 megs. So you need to keep an eye on the size of the SD card.
Right.
Just break it down to what you want.
But it shows you what it is, so you can.
Or maybe you want to do it once a month.
Once you back up, does it delete everything off the PBS?
No, it's going to create a new file.
Okay.
When you restore, you mean? Or you do backup?
Like when you back up, you're taking all the information off the
Copying
PBS. Or
it.
Just copy, just gonna copy.
Yes, whatever you
so it
select here.
stays there, so you have to manually delete it?
No, you don't do anything.
He's gonna create a new one.
Take this.
Oh.
And is there any safeguards on the PBX to avoid filling up the storage?
No.
So if it gets filled up, your PBX just stops working?
It's stop now,
So you just
yes.
double everything.
But that's why you have the event manager that you can receive an email.
So you don't want to delete it off the PBS?
It lets you know when it's like 80% full.
When it's reaching the, yes.
No, but I mean like the recording.
And it's still reading.
Yep, I know.
All you do
Thank
is
you.
back up
Sorry,
all
my
your programming. All you do is back up all your.
All right,
programming.
so
Because your-
basically,
in case your
I
machine
hope,
goes up and
well,
put a new
maybe
one
the
in,
troubleshooting,
you
guys,
come,
this
you
is
just
very
scan,
important.
Upload like 22 and 150.
So
So this is the last
keep all your voicemail recordings.
feature that I want to show you here.
Keep it on your PBX?
No.
Very important, especially for troubleshooting, I mean, we have issues.
Okay.
If you know how to read a trace or log, I mean, you can do it yourself.
Your phone,
Someone
memory.
else is deleting.
But if not, you can feel free to send the trace to us or to Bashar, we can help you to read the trace.
This way your machine
So
crashes.
basically,
Plug it out, plug a new one, plug it in.
if you're having any type of issues, I mean, call drops, call not completing, I mean, you want to know exactly what's happening. You can check the logs that I showed you before, but sometimes that one is not too specific. So if you want to get into a packet trace, then you want to see exactly in the SIP messages why the server is responding, why the server is responding that error. So then you want to do a trace from here. However, sometimes or you can also see, you would like to see also the system logs, what we call the syslog. So by, for example, turning this on, I mean, you turn that on, make a call, reproduce the problem, then you stop it, and then you download it. Basically, this is a PCAP file. You can download it and open it in any Wirecharge software, for example. You're going to see everything in the packing that is in the wire, that is going out to the wire. However, we prefer to enable the syslog. I mean, the syslog, either you need to have a real syslog server, so the PBX is going to start sending syslog every few seconds. So, but for troubleshooting, you don't want to have the PBX sending syslog to a remote location. It's going to waste your bandwidth. So you need to enter any IP address within your local network. For example, the gateway, which is 2.1. So just an IP that exists within your network. So then when you turn that on, you can have the system to send you the warning messages, notification, or debug. In my opinion, just enable debug for all the modules. When I mean all the modules, these are all the modules that we send syslog about. If you are troubleshooting something very specific, that you know what module is sending those logs, then you can enable the debug only on that particular module. And that's it. You click save. then you go to troubleshooting, back to the Ethernet capture. So now you know that the UCM is sending syslog through the wire. So when you turn on the capture, it's capturing everything that is going out, basically the SIP packets, DNS packet, the network packet, and now the syslog that you enabled. So when you stop it, you're going to download a PCAP file, you open it with your wire chart, you're going to see all the SIP messages, and at the same time you're going to see the syslog messages. FXO troubleshooting, for example, you're going to see in the system, the syslog, that okay, an incoming call is coming through FXO, it's ringing, this is the caller ID. So those type of messages are in the syslog. At that point, the network packets are not showing because it's an incoming call from the FXO. But in general, to make it short, for troubleshooting purpose, turn on the syslog as I did before, and turn on the Ethernet capture. And once you have the packet, you can pass it to Bashar or to Grandstream, so we can help you to analyze it.
First you have to enable it, then do the syslog?
Yes. Yeah, it's disabled by default.
So is there any way to rotate or clean up the logs so that you have some kind of control over how big they get?
What logs? Is this log?
Anything in the bar log directory on the track?
Well, we're not storing the logs locally. We're sending the logs out to the network.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so there's never any syslog stored locally then?
No.
Put it to an
And
IP
no
address.
asterisk logs either?
Oh, well, yes. Yeah, those logs, remember the one that I showed you? The event logs? Event logs?
Call detail records either?
Yeah, CDRs, event logs, for example, here.
So how do we keep those trimmed so that they don't fill up the storage?
They are considered in the backup. Remember that you have a lot of options that you can back up. Now, the question is how you keep track of the space that they are utilizing.
Yes.
What if we want to automate all that so we don't have to keep track of it?
Those logs, I don't know, I think they go into the data partition. So unfortunately, if they're gonna, when they reach, the only way that you can know when the internal flash drive is getting full because of the logs, the system event, etc., is by enabling the notifications.
Okay, but we can't have the system auto trim those log files?
No, but we have a cleaner option that I think we need to improve it a little more. Right now, basically what you can do is that set a criteria that when reaching that, then the system, the UCM is going to start deleting the logs.
But it just removes them completely, right?
Remove the oldest, depending on the criteria that you enable. You can set, for example, when reaching 80%, remove. I don't know how we do it actually, but we have that option here that you can remove that type
so
of
it's in
messages
percentages.
by percent.
Mister, we all good?
Yep. So probably I kind of went over everything. Basically, the test that we're going to be doing now. I think I covered everything. I apologize for that. The test is about 25 questions. Probably within half an hour we can do it. I think who passed is going to receive a certificate eventually from Bashar. And after 5 p.m. we're going to be around in case you need any more questions. And I will see that your issue.
Thank you, Ernesto. Okay, so before we go to the test, the last drop for the last phone.
And the winner is Steve.
Steve, here you go. There you go. Thank you.
Picture? You want a picture?
No, you don't want to? No?
Hey, you don't get it, you don't get a picture. Sorry, you walked in front of the camera, it's all good.
Okay, so do you want to like have 2 minutes stop, or let's go to the test and whatever? How do you want? Just 2 minutes washroom stop, please.
It's a long walk, actually. I didn't know it was that far away.
Yeah, it is a long drive. I'm just gonna put this on the thing. Yeah, just.
Which one is mine?